What's up? So I've been out of a job for a really long time now. And I've been kind of enjoying the holiday season, to be honest. And I've been literally just living as a full-time YouTube content creator. And in that time, I've got to do some great stuff. I got to tell my story. I've got to create content about AI and art and about frameworks and awesome things that I really enjoy. But in this season of being unemployed, a lot I've been having a lot of great conversations with a lot of great people, and many of them just suggest to me, "Hey, why don't you start your own company?" And I thought maybe I should, maybe I could. But in thinking of this, I also got to thinking about some of the founders that I know, that I love, that I respect. And I thought I'd do a video where I talk to you about them, and then together we can maybe identify what they have in common and what makes a great founder, so that if you want to be one day, or if maybe I want to be one day, we have a nice like template to follow. Okay. This list is not in any order, but it is categorized. It's categorized in the way of some of these founders I've had the privilege of like working with them on their company, either at their company or like as a investor or as an advisor or something. We've done work as they've run their thing. Some of these founders, I haven't really worked on their company with them, but we've actually talked about their company a lot. And there's something special about like when a founder talks about a company with a spark in their eyes. It's like when a parent talks about their child and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I have to tell you about this child that I love." It's like that. So category 2 is about founders who I haven't like done much impact work on their business with them, but we've talked a lot. And then category 3 is people I want to talk to more, but I haven't had the chance so far in the year 2022. But maybe that'll change this year. Who knows? So with that, let's just get right into it. Let's start with category 1: founders whom I have a relationship with, whom I've known, whom I've worked either at their company or with them on their company. And let's get right into it. Founder number 1, I would be remiss completely if I did not mention to you my good friend, almost brother, Gabe Greenberg, who is the founder and CEO of G2I. G2I is a staff augmentation marketplace for developers that helps developers find companies and companies find developers, specializing in React, React Native, and Node.js. And they also have this strong focus on developer health. Now, Gabe is a founder that I respect and look up to significantly because this person is just has probably the strongest convictions I've seen in a leader, in a founder, I think maybe ever. Convictions of this is how we run our business, motivated by the health and well-being of our people, for the betterment of the world. And if that doesn't fit with you, that's fine. We'll help you find a job elsewhere. But he's very clear about how the company is to run in a healthy way. And also very cognizant of the fact that it may not be for everyone, and really optimizes for that so that the people are there fit well and want to be there and can thrive there. So it's not people like walking or swimming rather against a current, but it's people who fit. And he has an excellent way of curating this, and embracing new things. So when I was working at G2I, I've watched them implement like amazing ways of working, going from some agile style like Scrum to Shape Up, and things like this. And the way they adopt things has always been very inspiring to me. Gabe also is not quick to make rash decisions, but makes decisions for the good of people in a really well and wholesome and thought through way. At G2I, I worked there at the company, and there were times where I was problematic. I will own that. I sometimes push too hard on deliverables, and Gabe said to me, he was like, "Listen, this isn't going to fly. Instead, here, let's get you some coaching." And I had an executive coach, Michael Terrell, at the time to help me improve and grow. And this is how they invest, how Gabe invests in his people, and it's something that has left an impact on me. So I really look up to that. Now, listen, founder number 2, yo, listen, if you think you're a great founder, or if you think you know great founders, let me tell you, this dude, ooh, if you don't know him, you just don't. I don't know where you are, because founder number 2 is my boy Hack Sultan, or Akintunde Sultan. And this, like, listen, what a story, right? Like, he was born in Nigeria, grew up in Nigeria, in Africa. Look, when like in the 90s, when we were young, not many people had computers or internet, so had a little Nokia phone, not even a smartphone, and on it would just kind of use WAP based text editors and write PHP and kind of get into coding, and eventually got into WordPress, and really became proficient. And today is the founder of AltSchool Africa. That is a place where people can walk in off the street, get hard skills with code, and develop a career, just anybody. And also the founder of TalentQL, a pipeline that takes people and helps them find companies, jobs, with a focus on Africa. And he's crushing it, and he is reliable, and people are served well. If you haven't looked at TalentQL and AltSchool, it's the most encouraging thing I've seen in a long time. Also, founder of a nonprofit 503c called Dev Career, I think, where they will just accept donations and then buy laptops for people in Africa to help them on their tech journey. It's just phenomenal, the things he's doing. I have the privilege of calling Sultan literally my brother. We're very close, and he's just a very, very upright, clean, great example of a person. Honestly, but he like lives in a responsible and healthy way, takes care of his people, and really has the sense of responsibility is the best word. In fact, one time he told me I wouldn't be a good founder because he's like, dude, Tejas, you don't optimize for profit. You optimize for vibes. And he's like, you're the kind of founder who, like, at some point you're gonna be like, hey everyone, let's just not work and all go chill on a mountaintop and sing kumbaya. And he's like, that's great, but that's not going to reliably pay salaries. And I think he might be right. But Sultan is a visionary, is a philanthropist, is an absolute gem of a founder for these reasons. Number three, again, not in any order, but in categories. Number three, of the founders whom I've had the privilege of knowing and kind of working on their company. By the way, how I work with Sultan on his company is I donate to his stuff as often as I can, as much as I can. And we kind of talk through his school and pipelines, and it's just fascinating to me. Founder number three, again, I'm not, look, this is not in any order, it is in categories, is Brandon Bayer, Flightcontrol. Absolutely love Brandon, also like a brother to me. And you know, just the other day we were talking about what was it, about AWS Elasticache. Flightcontrol is a way of working on Amazon Web Services without the pain of using the Amazon Web Services console, or the pain of learning Terraform or Pulumi and stitching everything together. It's just it aims to be AWS with the developer experience people want. And I think it's phenomenal. The other day we were talking about making Elasticache on Amazon Web Services more accessible to people through Flightcontrol, and how that then will facilitate building and deploying actual like full stack applications, because they already have like RDS and S3, the database service and the storage service. So phenomenal. What makes Brandon great is he does this thing where he sees his company not as just a company, but as a garden to tend, as an ecosystem where he gets to help people thrive and bring out their best selves, their best work for the good of the world. And this sounds like founder speak, but I've watched him live it. We'll talk more about that later. So that was a big piece. But also, Brandon has this belief deeply seated where he genuinely believes he's got access to unlimited power. Not in a like, oh my gosh, I'm so great, not in an egotistical way, but in a way that maybe realizes latent potential with humility. And he often expresses gratitude for it. And I think that's a very powerful stance, because me personally, I oftentimes have a scarcity mindset, and I'm not sure like how much is too much and things like this. And he's just on it. Number four, I cannot not mention the one and only David K. Piano, or David Khourshid, founder of Stately. Stately is like a visual logic flow builder for applications that then can translate to code. Stately like enables product people uh, to contribute to engineering projects, and I think it's phenomenal. What makes David stand out to me as a founder, and really cultivates like a deep respect in me, is the way he delegates. I've watched David give away like control, autonomy, and decision making power to his team, and really help them, serve them enough so that they feel able to run the company, or they feel like they have a say. This, and also balanced with treating everyone as fairly. He's goes hard on fairness, and I like that. Um, David is the kind of founder I want to be, also because he's very gentle. I sometimes maybe have an inflated sense of self. I sometimes have been criticized actually for being kind of a very heavy-handed leader. Like, we're doing this, and and that's what we're doing. And David is way more collaborative. In fact, I could microdose David, and learn a thing or two. And I'm really excited to see where Stately goes. So those are the four that now the impact. Sorry, unstructured content. This is what you subscribe for. David, I've worked with him not so much on Stately, but we have had conversations about kind of some of the people sides of things. For example, the offsites that they had. Well, I think one of them in Denmark, I was able to help kind of chime in with some experience from a previous job, and I think it may have worked. I don't know if you're David, if you're watching, let me know in the comments. But those that's the category of people that I feel I've been able to impact their business in some way while also learning from them and seeing respectable traits in these founders. Category number two is founders who I've talked at length about their companies, but I haven't really suggested things or given advice or nothing's. I have had no impact, but I've listened a lot. And off the bat, I have to tell you, Vitaly Friedman from Smashing Magazine. Oh my word! Um, I have the privilege of living in Berlin, pretty close to Vitaly. So we sometimes go to food. We've done that all of one time because we travel a lot, but we do see each other at conferences and things. And the man is extraordinary to hang out with because like he pursues a zero stress lifestyle, and it's almost where he has now a negative stress lifestyle where if I'm feeling stressed and I'm around him, he'll just take it away. And I imagine he does that for his team. He's full of funny jokes and quips that kind of just like diffuses stressful situations. It's a great skill as a founder, and it's something I'm thankful for. Vitaly also does this thing where he trusts his people so much that if I ask him something about like Smashing Conf, which I think Karis is and the team are in charge of, he'd be like, I don't know. He's the founder, co-founder, I think. I don't know. Ask Karis. Um, I love that because it shows I trust Karis. She's got this, and that is a beautiful thing. Okay. Number two is Jed Watson. From Thinkmill. Thinkmill, I feel like conjecture. Don't take it with a grain of salt, but I feel like Thinkmill is the most prominent open source tech company in all of Australia. They've done some amazing things from and great people have come out of Thinkmill. I'm thinking of Sebastian McKinsey from 6 to 5 or Babel. I'm thinking of Max Stoiber from what is it, Style Components. I'm thinking of just great open source and great projects that have come from Thinkmill. Jed is a phenomenal founder, and he's the kind of founder who, when he talks about Thinkmill, you really see the love in his eyes, and he talks about it as a family, and it's not this toxic like hustle family, so we take advantage of you vibe. It's genuinely like family because we had this one instance where we were sitting around with his team in the Thinkmill office, a bunch of people around, and I was asking him about the recession. You have any layoffs planned? And I was like, feel free to not answer because your people are here. And he's like, why should I not answer? Anything I can say to you, I can say to them. We don't keep things from each other here. And I was like, dude, that's beautiful. So I really look up to and respect that kind of transparency between people. Finally, last but certainly not least, because there's no order, there's only categories, is Johannes Schickling from Prisma. Also based in Berlin. We also hang out. And honestly, like he's one of the most balanced people I know, which is excellent because I have been described as very extreme and very binary. So I've been described as like I either love something or I hate something, but I don't see the gray and the. But Johannes is likes to see things from what I can see from multiple angles and really understand a situation. That and his work on Prisma, I think, is just. I mean, there's nuggets of information that I want to extract information and knowledge from. All right, the third and final category are founders that I know, that I maybe invest and advise with in some capacity, but I haven't really done much work together, either in long conversations about their company or even measurable impact. But these are still people I want that to change. I want to address that in this year. And these I probably won't spend a lot of time because there's not much to say, but still. I think Brian Douglas, founder of Open Source, great tool for insights and things on GitHub open source work. We have spent a little bit of time, and I know open source is a great product, but I'd love to spend more. I think of Lily Chen from Contenda. I think maybe the world's first DevRel exclusive startup. What Contenda does is they'll take like a video like this, and they can convert it using AI to Twitter threads or blog posts. repurposing content. That's amazing. I serve as an advisor at this point in time in Contenda, and I'd like that to grow and spend more time with Lily this year. But I haven't gotten as much as I wanted to. But we'll fix that. I'm pretty sure. Lastly, but definitely not least, is Taz Singh from Guild. Now, look, I've spent 9 months on and off traveling with Taz, and I love Taz. But we haven't really talked about Guild all that much, so this is why I put him in this category. Now, as a person, I know him, I love him, I respect him. As a founder too, but we haven't talked as much about Guild as I would have liked. And that's, we'll fix that. So these are the founders. These are the people if I think about starting a company, these are the people I'm going to, and I'm going to ask for mentorship, and I'm going to talk to, and I'm going to appreciate, I'm going to enjoy, and I'm going to give thanks for, and give gratitude to. But in examining these names, one can't but help think about what common traits do they have that compose into like a Power Rangers like super founder, right? What common traits make excellent founders, the way I see them anyway, excellent? And this is what I came up with. I think number one, kind of like citing Jed Watson, Gabe Greenberg, and others, is transparency. When Jed looked at me and said, "Listen, what can I say to you that I cannot say in front of them?" I was like, that is beautiful. Can you imagine? You're not thinking about like, oh, am I getting laid off? Is there going to be? You're not thinking, am I getting a raise this time? Am I going to have to negotiate? How awesome would it be if you didn't have to like negotiate because you just knew that a founder like Jed wants to do right by you because he's transparent, because you have access to the finances, I love that. And I've seen across the board transparency be absolutely key to great companies with great founders. Number two is that by and large, not all on my lists, but I see a trend towards being conservative and a little bit careful about fundraising. I'm seeing more of a trend towards like not raising a massive like 50 million Series A, but doing smaller rounds, to retain more control and vision and not falling kind of prey to other controlling interests in what is your vision as a founder. And I think that trait is pretty valuable. And if I was to found something, I might go with that, because I have heard a lot of horror stories of people accepting very large investments and then, thinking they got a great deal, but realizing, oh, I just gave away my company. And there's burnout. There's a whole bunch of things there that I would like to avoid if and when. Right. Number three, people first. Gabe Greenberg and others are such an example of people first. And what I mean by that is, you know, there was one time I was working at G2I and we were pushing. We had to ship a developer portal. I remember this like it was yesterday. And I noticed we were way behind. So I got very pushy and I was like, what is happening? Why are we? And I was like, Gordon Ramsay in Hell's Kitchen, like,
it's raw, Melissa.
Yes, chef.
It's raw, come on.
This kind of thing. And people were starting to get annoyed at me. I honestly, thinking back to it, I'm annoyed at myself. And Gabe and I had a chat, and he said, "Listen, you're upsetting and hurting people, and you need to stop. Put me on a PIP." But it wasn't a traditional PIP, a PIP being a performance improvement plan. It wasn't like an intent to fire you PIP, but it's like we actually want your performance to improve. In fact, to help you on your PIP, we'll get you coaching. And they did, and I actually improved. The PIP actually worked, and I didn't get fired. I've never been fired ever in my life, or laid off. I'm really thankful for that. But also, Gabe said this thing to me that made me feeling goosebumps, left me shaking and in tears all at the same time. Right? He said, "Listen, if it's crunch time, if the deadline is getting really close, if we're far away from the goal, and if you think we're not going to make it, and in that season, if you are kind to people, respectful, not pushy, people are relaxed, not burning out, and with all of that, if we miss the deadline," he said to me, he's like, "that would be the best thing to ever happen to this company, where people are still healthy and we miss a deadline, as opposed to we ship something, but people work nights and weekends and their families suffer." And he said it and he meant it. He looked me straight in the eye. And I will never forget that because I've never heard that before. But putting people first, even at Stately with David, even at Thinkmill, even at wherever, even at Smashing with Vitaly, from what I can see, is a common trend of excellent founders, and that is what I want to do. Um, Number four is trusting people. I keep thinking back to Vitaly when I ask him questions about something or the other that somebody else like owns in his company. He's just like, I don't know, ask them. They're in charge. I I love that. I love it when a founder is like, I don't know because I don't need to know because I hired these great people and they're in charge and I trust them with the life of my company. So talk to them. I'll make an intro if you want. I love that. I wish when I worked for certain founders, they would have done that with me because then my sense of urgency and ownership would have been boosted and I would have done my best work as well. And lastly, I think, look, you can skip all of the video, right? But come to this piece because I think this thing is the magnum opus, the pièce de résistance, whatever you want to call it, of what makes great founders great, and a, that is a revelation of integrity over time. A revelation of integrity over time. What that means is no virtue signaling, because virtue signaling ceases to exist past a certain amount of time. So it's very common for founders to say the right things. Oh, I believe in transparency and ownership, diversity and inclusion. Yes, we treat women and people of color fairly, and yes, it's and this founder rhetoric is common, but time reveals the truth. And every single one of these founders I know that is on this list, um, except maybe the last category, but that's because we haven't had the chance to really be close, very, very close, as close as the first two categories. Um, every single founder here I've known for a considerable amount of time. I worked at G2I, I think, for 1 or 2 years. I've spent quite a bit of time with David in 2022, talking through and working on stately things and across the board. With enough time, the integrity shows. It's very clear that when they speak, founders speak, they don't just talk the talk. They walk the walk. They actually like put into practice the things they say, and that is a phenomenally beautiful thing because then they get to cultivate these companies that like for example G2I and Flightcontrol, 4-day work week, 32-hour work week, um, and really optimizing for the health of their people. Why? Because they say it's important that our people are healthy. Meanwhile, I've seen companies say yes, it's important for our people to be healthy, but then people are working nights and weekends, but it's their freedom. You know, so time and integrity over time and the lack of virtue signaling, that is the chef's kiss to me of great founders. So how do I feel about this? How do I feel about all of this information that I unpacked? One, how can I not feel inspired by it? You know what I'm saying? Like these people, I'm inspired, and I'm not inspired because they've like become unicorns and they have big numbers. I don't care about big numbers. I believe if you do the right things, big numbers will happen. Look, I don't have any I have like, tiny amounts of YouTube views, whatever. I feel like with enough time of doing the right thing, the numbers come. But I am inspired by the way in which they go about it. They can take shortcuts and trample on people and whatever, but they don't, and that's a beautiful thing. Number two, I'm upset. I'm upset because in this list there's two people of color and one woman, and the rest is homogenous. It's, I think, well representative of the inequity in the industry, and I absolutely hate it. They're just being honest with you, and I'd like to see it fixed. I'd like to play a part in fixing it if I can. Maybe I should be a founder just for that reason. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Um, and lastly, I feel immensely grateful for their wisdom, immensely grateful for access to these people, for the privilege of knowing them, squeezing them for knowledge, for information, and really having some of them even as mentors. And I think that's absolutely a blessing. And I want to express just publicly, thank you, founders, thank you, viewers, for watching. And I'm just extremely grateful for all of it. Those are my thoughts. Those are the founders that I look up to. Those are what makes them special, and a bunch of other things. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment below or at me on Twitter. But for now, hey, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.